Hi, I'm Coles Brown, host of The Coles Brown Show. Make sure you tune in this Saturday for a special edition of The Coles Brown Show, broadcasting live from the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. A special edition of The Coles Brown Show this Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is the radio guide, Dr. Mike Prince, and you know this is our bowl week, beginning of the Celebration Bowl. Alcorn, representing the Southwest Athletic Conference, will be taking on the likes of North Carolina A&T, representing the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. A couple of weeks ago, we had our special guest, Shotgun Willie Simmons, and as promised, he is here this week to discuss with us the ins and outs of this Celebration Bowl. And without any further ado, we'll say hello to Brother Simmons. How you doing, my man?
Doing well, Mike. How things going?
Well, things are going quite well. It's been a while since we've spoken. What an exciting SWAC championship game. I know they do it a little bit different in the MEAC, but it makes you wish that they had a championship game in the MEAC as well, man.
Oh, well, you know what? It was a great atmosphere down in Lorman. I got to watch the game on TV, and again, I think it was really great for the SWAC to have that conference championship game on a member institution's campus, and it's something that we had pushed for as head coaches. When they first made the decision to do away with the game, and fortunately for them, it worked out that way, being that UAB was pushing for a conference championship in their own right. I think it's something that they'll continue to do. But all in all, tip my hat to Alcorn State and Coach McNair, Fred, my good buddy, for the job they've done down there. And I'm looking forward to a great Celebration Bowl this weekend.
Absolutely. Now, we decided to offer you this opportunity to share your expertise because, the success that you had in the Southwestern Athletic Conference and I'm going to say marginal success you had this year in the MEAC. Kind of fills it out at the end, but that happens. You're getting things under grips there. Have you gotten over that just yet, Coach?
I have. And obviously this week was a little rough because you look around every now and then and say, well, man, around this time, if we're taking care of business, we'd be on the practice field right now, or we'd be in the film room preparing. But, like you said, it's part of this thing we call coaching. It's part of the foundation that we're building here at Florida A&M, and hopefully we can continue to put the pieces together to where this time next year, we will have taken care of business and we'll be the team representing the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference in the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl.
Okay, this Celebration Bowl, of course, is going to feature the A&T Aggies, which you had success against on the road, I might add, and against Alcorn, a program that you've had success with as being a coach, and then you had a success against them as a head coach at Prairie View. So let's go, I guess, to the MEAC first. And what do you see the pros and the cons of North Carolina A&T, and then we'll go from there to further dialogue and break these teams down.
Well, the one thing about North Carolina A&T, obviously, they've been the representative in the Celebration Bowl 3 out of the 4 years of its existence. And so, obviously, they've done a phenomenal job of building that program the way that, you want to see programs develop, which I think they do it with great line play on both sides of the ball. They have a first-team All-American offensive lineman this year, and they had an NFL draft pick last year, Brandon Parker, who's a 4-time All-Conference guy and multiple All-American. On the defensive side of the ball, they have the Conference Player of the Year at defensive end. I think he was an All-American as well. And so, again, they've done a really good job of establishing their identity as a tough physical football team. They're going to be fundamentally sound. It's going to be very hard to run the ball against. They're going to establish the run on the offensive side of the ball. And then they're going to have a few playmakers here and there, which they have, obviously, with their running back, with the big, tall wide receivers they have. And then also their quarterback, Lamar Renard, who was the 2017 MEAC Player of the Year, didn't win it this year. But, he's been a guy that's taken a lot of snaps for A&T. And then also they have an X factor in the return game. They returned 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns this year. And whenever you get into championship caliber games, that's always, like I say, an X factor. So I think that's the strength of their team. Their fronts on both sides of the ball They have some playmakers at some key positions, and they have a quarterback who's won a ton of games for them that won't be rattled on the biggest stage, and they have a dynamic returner who you can get the ball to him. He can definitely break the game open for him.
Now, you had success on the road without giving up too many family trade secrets. What do you think going to be the keys of attack for Alcorn to have any type of success this weekend against North Carolina A&T?
Well, I think it's going to be a test of will, the whole what happens when a movable force, unstoppable force meets an immovable object, whatever that analogy is. Alcorn prides itself on being able to run the football. They're one of the top rushing offenses in the entire country at the Division I FCS level. Well, on the flip side, North Carolina A&T has one of the top run defenses in all of FCS football. So it's going to be if Alcorn can find a way to establish the run. I think A&T does a phenomenal job of keeping hats around the ball, of being very fundamentally sound, and they hang their hat on their ability to stop the run. You talk to Sam Washington, the head coach, and he has his old saying that we do chicken. And what he's saying by that is that we're going to stop the run, and you're going to try to make people one-dimensional. So if Alcorn can find a way to run the ball, I do think they have an X factor. Whenever you have a mobile quarterback, which Noah Johnson's obviously that, it creates an extra runner that A&T has to account for. It creates an extra gap that they have to account for. And whenever you have to do that, it definitely opens things up in other areas. So I think that's going to be a way that Alcorn can attack North Carolina A&T, is finding a way to get Noah Johnson involved early and often in their run game.
Now, of course, Washington is his first full year, longtime assistant coach for the great Coach Broadway, who left, I guess, in the most idyllic way that one could ever leave. Undefeated season, walk off with the championship, you go off into the sunset. Washington has come in, and what has been intriguing for me with North Carolina A&T and Alcorn, these two programs, they don't win sexy. They just kind of grind it out, do what needs to get done, and the next thing you know, they got another W in the column, and they're moving on toward the next game. What do you attribute that to as far as the consistency that this program has had?
Well, again, I think both programs are very similar in their approach, from building a team from the defensive side of the ball, which means you want to make sure that you're very strong and stout on defense. You want to be able to establish the run game on the offensive side of the ball, and then when you build a team that way, the one thing it does is it eliminates or minimizes your opportunity to lose the game, so to speak. Like you said, they don't win sexy, so it's not many times when they go out and try to win the game. It's one of those deals where they're not going to lose it. They're not going to give the other team extra opportunities by turning the ball over, by throwing interceptions, by keeping their defense on the field for a long time. They're going to establish the run. They're going to try to wear you down, and they're going to try to win the game in the second half. And when you look at A&T, that's kind of been their blueprint, is that they've been a very good second half football team. That was the one thing coming out of our game that was really, I think, the determining factor was that we shut them out the second half. We went down 21-6. And we found a way to come out and score, 16 unanswered points and win the game 22-21 on the last second field goal. So I think that's something that'll be interesting to see this weekend, of which team stays true to their identity of being a very, very sound defensive team. Again, that bend but don't break mentality, and that can establish the run and control the clock and win the field position battle. And when you do that, I think you give yourself the best chance to win those type of games. When it's the first time two teams will see each other, which is always the case when you play bowl games.
We're talking right now with Shotgun Willie Simmons, head football coach of the FAMU Rattlers. We're doing a breakdown of this year's Celebration Bowl between the North Carolina A&T Aggies and the Alcorn State Braves. Now, you just said something before we move on toward Alcorn, that the key to success for both of these teams is that they build their teams from the defensive side. And here come the Mike and Willie pick-on argument. I love defense. I know you're the offensive guy. Why don't more programs try to build their programs that way?
Well, one, I think the thing you have to do is you have to make that your identity. And it's very tough when you're talking about recruitment, when you're talking about bringing in student athletes. Um, it's always a challenge to get guys that fit that. The hardest position to recruit at any level. I don't care if you're talking about the Division One FCS level, the mid-major level, or even the Power Five level. The hardest positions to recruit are the defensive line. You know, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" guys that are strong and athletic and that play hard, don't just fall off trees. You can walk. You can pretty much go to any corner, any school in the southeast, especially Florida, Texas, even Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, and find you a skilled kid. You can find a kid that runs 4.4, that's long and athletic with great ball skills or great change of direction skills. I mean, those kids are everywhere. But to find those good, solid defensive linemen, they're very hard to come by. And I think that's one thing that those two schools have really done a great job of. Because when you look at A&T, that's clearly the strength of their team, is their defensive line. When you look at Alcorn State, that's clearly the strength of their team, with Terry Winnington and Sterling Shippey, and those guys. I mean, I think they've led the league or the nation in tackles for loss and sacks for the majority of the season. So again, those you're going to see two teams that, like I said, have more of an SEC kind of Big Ten type of mentality, where they're going to be very, very strong on the defensive lines. They're going to try to, stymie the run, make you one-dimensional, and then when they get you into those passing situations, they both have defensive ends, dynamic defensive ends, both around 6'4", 6'5" guys that can rush the passer. Winnington, I think, is a double-digit sack guy, and so is A&T's defensive end. Again, the reigning conference player of the year. So again, it's all on paper. They're about the same team.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why I'm excited about this game, and it just goes back, at least for me, that's been my battle cry. If you want to build a program, not a team, and hear me real clear on this, Coach. You just mentioned it. I've been my battle cry on shows the past couple of weeks. I'm going to spend my money on the big uglies, those guys on that offense and defensive line, and with a solid, steady flow of offensive and defensive linemen. Skill positions are almost at a dime a dozen, because those are positions you can coach them up and develop a scheme around the talent that you have. But you're consistently going to be those guys creating those lanes up front and blocking those lanes.
Well, no question about it. And like I said again, from a philosophical standpoint, I think any coach shares that philosophy. Let's make sure that we're very solid on the offensive and defensive line. Again, the challenge is that those guys are hard to find. If you walk into a school as a college recruiter, whether you're at FAMU, A&T, Alcorn, Prairie View, or wherever, you're going to probably see coaches from, if you're in Texas, you'll see coaches from Houston. You'll see coaches from Sam Houston State, from SMU, from the University of Texas. And when the coach or the recruiting guy say, hey, Coach, what are y'all looking for? They're all going to say the same thing. Defensive linemen. I mean, we're all looking for defensive linemen, So, again, because those are the premium positions, those are the positions that are the hardest to find. So when you find one that's a really good player, everybody's recruiting. Very rarely do you find a diamond in the rough defensive lineman that nobody knows about, that's going to come in and kind of float under the radar. So a lot of times, you get into the battle, you find a guy who may be in your mind, okay, well, I got a shot at this guy. So say, when we were at Prairie View, for example, we identify a guy, he may be 6'1", about 270 pounds. You say, hey, we got a shot at this guy because we know he's not going to go to Texas. They're looking for the 6'4", 6'5" guys. Well, before you know it, the mid-majors have found them, and they're recruiting them now. And even some of the lower-level Power 5 schools may be recruiting him if he's a dynamic football player. And a lot of times you end up losing out on those guys because there is such a premium. So at our level, a lot of times what we end up having to sign is either a guy that's very undersized, say 5'11", barely 6 feet, or 255 that you can project into a defensive lineman, or he's going to be drastically overweight. He's going to be a 340-pound guy. That's a good player, but he's always battling his weight. And so that's the challenge with schools at our level that I've experienced over my 7 years at this level, is that you rarely find the ready to play guys. The 6'2", 285 guys that are strong, that can move, that are athletic, that are tough. Because everybody in the country is looking for those guys. And so Again, from a philosophical standpoint, I think if you talk to any coach and ask them if he could take one position outside of probably quarterback that he knew would be a dominant player, it would definitely be a defensive lineman. And so that's the challenge for all of us, at our level. And I think that's what A&T and Alcorn have both done phenomenal jobs of taking guys that project to be great players, and that's what they've all become. Sterling Shipper didn't come to Alcorn as a great player. We were there. We were there when we signed him. And he was a offensive lineman that was very strong, that played a little bit both ways, but kind of stiff a little bit. But hey, he's a 400-pound plus pound bench press guy now. Terry Winnington was a 205-pound defense outside linebacker, coming out of high school, and he somehow blossomed and bloomed into a 240-pound defensive end. That's a one-man wrecking crew. The same thing with those guys from A&T. So they've developed them in a way that's made them good players now. They weren't those type of guys when they first got there, but they've developed them to become those players now. And I think that's why they're paying such huge dividends for them today.
I.e., a program. We're talking right now with Shotgun Willie Simmons, which leads us now to the Alcorn State Braves. Of course, you've had personal fingerprints on that program, had success at that program. You came from that program to Prairie View. Now you're at FAMU. Give us a breakdown of the Braves. And before you do that, I'm going to say this, man. You don't have to respond to this, but I've been echoing it, so I might as well continue now. For some reason, from the outside looking in, it appears that there has been an internal sabotage attack against Fred McNair, but he somehow seems to weather the storm each year and continues to win.
Well, I tell you what, I had the privilege of living with Fred during my 3 years at Alcorn. We actually lived together on campus, back in the back. If anyone's been to Lauren, Mississippi, there are no apartments. There are no places out immediately outside of campus to live on. So a lot of the coaches live at the back of campus. And so, we all shared apartments together, houses together. And I think that's one of the reasons that makes Alcorn such a special place. It's the only place that I've been that has that type of closeness that really is conducive to really growing and building the football team. The entire team lives on campus. There are no guys at Alcorn, at least when I was there, and I'm sure that's still the case because there are no apartment complexes anywhere in the vicinity, that everybody lives on campus. So when you need to find a player, you know immediately where to go to. The coaches live on campus, the players live on campus, so you're always 5 minutes away from being around your players. There's no reason as to why guys can't be at the building until 10 o'clock at night meeting with coaches because they got nowhere else to go. I mean, there's nothing to do there other than go to school, other than, have some few little apartment parties, dorm parties that they'll have and play football. And so, again, I think that Fred has continued to build on the blueprint that we all established there, building a oneness, a closeness from those guys playing together. And when you watch them play, that's what you get. You see a group of guys that love playing for one another. And I think Fred has done a phenomenal job. He's an alum, obviously, one of the all-time greats that have come to Alcorn with, of course, his younger brother, Steve, who's probably the greatest quarterback to ever play FCS football. But he understands Alcorn's culture. And so he's been able to, like you say, weather all of the storms that have been thrown his way during his, I guess now 3-year tenure as head coach there. And again, but Fred's a great guy. A very passionate guy about football, about the development of young men, and about Alcorn State. So I think it's easy for him to sell that place because it's home for him. And whenever you can coach at a place that's home, it gives you a recruiting advantage. And obviously, he's done a phenomenal job recruiting there with the type of players that they built that team with. So I think for those guys, it's definitely going to be a test of them. Kind of like we did, feeling like we had to take down the big bad wolf. A&T is kind of the darling of black college football now. They're the ones that everybody sees and knows. They had Tariq Cohen turning backwards flips and catching balls in the air. They had Brandon Parker, who 6'7" tackle, who was a third-round draft pick. I mean, they had Rob Broadway, who went undefeated and rolled, like you said, rolled off to the sunset. So they're kind of the team that's going in to try to take all of that, and that makes them a very dangerous football team. And so again, I definitely think they have a lot of things going their way. Brave Nation, I'm sure, is going to travel very well to Atlanta. They're no strangers to the Celebration Bowl. They were in the inaugural one against A&T, the first year of the bowl. So it's definitely going to be a game that I think we can all look forward to, and it's going to be very exciting, and with some really good players, really good coaches, and great publicity for not only those two universities, but really all of black college football.
Absolutely. Now, you've given, in order for Alcorn to have success, this X factor. In order for A&T to have success, what's their X factor?
Well, I think they have to take advantage in the kicking game. The one area that I think Alcorn has struggled this year has been in the kicking game. It cost them a game earlier this year against Alabama State, obviously, when they missed, I think, 6 field goals and lost to Alabama State in overtime. Like I said, A&T has a kick returner who's returned 3 kickoffs for touchdowns this season. And so whenever you play in games of that magnitude, I think it comes down to the turnovers and field position, which obviously the field position battle is won in the kicking game. And so if A&T can have some of those big returns, if they can, they block the punt against us, if they can find a way to get their hands on a couple of kicks, I think that really gives them a great advantage, because again, when you play great defense, which both of those teams do, it becomes a field position battle, because it's going to be very tough for either team to consistently drive the ball 80-plus yards on the other team. I don't think it's going to be possible for maybe once or twice, through the game where you see an 80-play drive. I'm talking about from both teams combined. And so if either team can get that short field, have a big return to the 50-yard line or block a punt to get the ball on the short field, I think that gives that team an advantage, because now instead of having to drive 85, 75 yards, you only got to drive 45, 30, whatever the case may be. And so I think that's going to be A&T's advantage. And then also the fact that they have, a couple of big, long, tall receivers that can possibly win one-on-ones, whenever Alcorn brings pressure. They like the pressure. They like to get in your face. And whenever you do that, you sometimes leave yourself vulnerable to one-on-ones outside. And A&T does have some 6'3", 6'4" wideouts with dynamic ball skills that can make plays. And so I think those are the two things that they'll have, to going into the game to possibly take advantage of. If they can consistently do that, I think they give themselves a great chance to defend their Black College Championship.
We're talking again with Shotgun Willie Simmons, head football coach of the FAMU Rattlers, getting a breakdown of the Celebration Bowl featuring the Alcorn State Braves and the North Carolina A&T Aggies. We're now going to our JZE Building and Restoration Pick'em part of this episode. JZE Builders and Restorations can give you what you need to build the home of your dreams, or simply to remodel the existing home. You might need to add that mother-in-law extension or whatever it is, or father-in-law extension for that matter. Give them a call at 832-319-8477. Get in contact with the owner and founder, Patricia Bear, and they'll help you out. That number again for JZE Building and Restoration is 832-319-8477. All right, Shotgun, you've given us a breakdown. You've given us these analysis. Who do you think is going to win?
Wow, put me on the spot, huh? Well, I'm torn. Again, you're talking about my friend Fred, like I said, who I live with, help revitalize. I don't want to say build a program, because they already were a great program, but revitalize Alcorn back, during my tenure there. And then you're talking about the league I'm a part of now, the BAC. So I feel like either way I'm going to be straight with the pick. But you know what? I think as I look at both teams, like I said, I really do believe that if you took the helmet uniforms off one team and put on the other, you wouldn't know the difference. Because again, I think their blueprints are exactly the same. Great defensive teams, teams that pride themselves on being able to run the football on the other side of the ball, both with dynamic quarterbacks that can beat you with their arms as well as their legs. And so I truly believe this game is going to come down to turnovers and field position. Which team can force some timely turnovers to maybe give them the short field or take away a scoring opportunity from the other team, and which team can win the kicking battle. Because again, I think whenever you have these type of games where two teams are evenly matched, which I think these two teams are, it's going to come down to those two things: turnovers and field position. And with that being said, I think Alcorn has the advantage in the turnover portion. I think that their defensive scheme is more geared towards pressures, getting to the quarterback. They lead the nation in sacks. And so whenever you have those, you have the opportunity for strip sacks or rush throws and, to be very opportunistic on the defensive side of the ball with interceptions or fumbles. But I think A&T has the advantage in the kicking game, again, with their dynamic return guy. And, but you can neutralize that by kicking the ball away from him and things of that nature. So with that being the case, I'm going to say it's going to be a very, very close football game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring football game. I don't anticipate either team breaking the going over 21 points. And so I'm going to say final score 21-17. And do I have to say who's going to have 21-17?
You know what? I'm going to give you a clemency, or should I? Teeter-totter, in and out. You know what? I'm going to take the pressure off of you. I'm saying the score is going to be 17-14, and I tell you what I'll do. I'll reveal who I think is going to win a little bit later, and I'll take you off the hook, and you can whisper when we get done with this show. How about that?
I appreciate that. I don't want to have to see Fred at the convention or see the A&T guys at the convention that they turn around and walk away from.
Well, we do have your score at 21-17. I'll take your answer or projection off the air, and I'll give you a little wiggle room on that one, and I'll announce mine a little bit later on throughout the course. We still got a little time yet, and I'll let it be known at the very last moment. As a matter of fact, here's what I might do for those that listen to the show on a regular day. If you would go and follow us on our YouTube channel, Open Mic Broadcast Network, I'll reveal who I think is going to win the game there. The only way you can get it, you got to subscribe today to the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Shotgun, it's always a pleasure, man. How is recruiting going for you, my friend?
Well, you know what, it's coming along, and obviously we've identified some needs that we have, and we've gone out to try to fill a lot of those needs. And we've already had 2 official visit weekends, and we have a third one coming up this weekend. So we're plugging along. I tell you what, this early signing period has really changed the recruiting game, especially at this level. When they made the rule last year, it was the first year that they put forth an early signing period for football. A lot of us at the FCS level didn't think it would affect us as much. We actually thought it would help us because we thought all the Power 5 schools and those guys would just go ahead and sign everyone they were going to sign and leave the rest of them for us to kind of dig through. But believe it or not, man, these high school student athletes today I guess they're kind of getting fed up with the whole recruiting process, and they're starting to decide early and sign early as well at our level. So, we have a handful of guys that we're looking to sign in the early signing period. And, so again, it's definitely a time that's there's no rest for the weary, so to speak. We ended the season and had to get straight on the road recruiting. And I think that's true across the board now. So, but it's exciting. It's exciting to host these student athletes and their families, to get them on campus and, try to sell what we have to offer here at Florida A&M University. I think we have a phenomenal product to offer, and just trying to get the word out. So it's coming along well. We didn't graduate many seniors, so we won't have an entirely big class. We may sign somewhere between 13 to 16 guys. And but again, looking forward to getting some ink dried next week, coming through the fax machine or email, hopefully. And we'll go into the new year seeing what we have left over to field and hit the road to try to find that. Again, all in all, it's coming along fairly well.
Now, let me ask you this question. On a percentage scale, how much stock do you put in a verbal commitment?
You can't put much in it because, again, recruiting is all the way up until they sign on the dotted line. And, like I said, it's just that you're in the age today where you don't there's not many what we call diamonds in the rough. Where you can identify a student athlete that maybe no one knows about. He's at a smaller school, or he's kind of a late bloomer, or whatever the case may be. Kind of like Jerry Rice. I mean, nobody knew about Jerry Rice when Mississippi Valley found him, back in the day. Things like that. So those players with 247 Sports and with Rivals and with football, the football camps that are out now, the 707 camps, it's very hard to find those diamonds in the rough. So you're in a constant recruiting battle with not only your peers, schools in the SWAC and the MEAC, but you're also recruiting against the mid-major programs, who are recruiting 3, 4, 5-star caliber guys, but who are also looking to the next tier of guys if they lose them to Power 5 schools. And you're recruiting against your fellow FCS comrades, the Southern Conference, the Southland Conference, the OVC, all those guys. And so it's definitely a situation where even with the verbal commitment, sometimes it's a catch-22 that sometimes you don't want the kid to commit to you publicly because now someone sees that he's committed, and then they say, oh, well, let me take a second look at him. And then they think, oh, well, obviously if he's good enough to go to FAMU or Prairie View or wherever, maybe he's good enough to play for us. And then you're in that constant battle. So the recruiting game is definitely one to keep you up at night. And a lot of times it's even more fierce than competition on Saturdays, because there's just so many unknowns when dealing with families and coaches and runners these days, 707 coaches and all those things. So I don't put much stock into a verbal commitment. Again, when we send the papers and we get them back, that's when they're committed to us.
I know that's right. Because guys they'll be tweeting, I want to make my announcement and say I'm going to be going to XYZ. Then next thing you know, they didn't sign with somebody else.
That's right. I mean, it's that whole, coaches are the same way. The coaches will come out, I hadn't taught in the school, and I'm 100% committed to coaching this team. And the next day, he's packing his bags, going to his new job. So, it's the same. Kids will get on there. I'm 1,000% committed. Respect my decision. And before you know it, they're taking other visits. They're talking to other coaches, and they end up signing somewhere else. So, again, but at the end of the day, I tell all the recruits, I mean, this is about them. It's not about FAMU or any other school. This is an opportunity for these young men who've been blessed with a great gift to better themselves. And, hopefully they make the decisions for the right reasons. There are a lot of variables that go into why an 18-year-old feels like this school is the best school for him. And, but I encourage them all to list those things out, prioritize them on what's important, because, again, you don't want to make a decision that valuable. To me, it just means that, there's about 4 major decisions, 3 to 4 major decisions that you make in your life. The first one, obviously, that most of us make is our decision to, give our life to God. And a lot of us make that, early teens, some even younger than that. That's probably really the first one. This is the second one for most of the time. Which college you're going to go to, because that university is going to be linked to you for the rest of your life. No matter where I coach, no matter where this game takes me, I'm always identified as a Clemson Tiger. When people see me, they talk about the North Carolina game from 2000. They talk about, the Florida State game from 2002, because that's the school that I've been linked to. And, then a couple other decisions, major decisions after that. But, with all those major decisions, you don't want to make them for material reasons, for, what color jersey you wear, how many helmets you have, or, things of that nature. So I just, encourage these guys to really search within, talk to people that are really vested in their futures and that really care about them as individuals, and to make the decision that's best for them in all areas, and not just, a silly tradition that, not say silly, but a tradition that a school might have that is, exciting. I love running down the hill. It was one of the highlights of my playing career. But you know what? After running down about 3 or 4 times, it's the interest of the game.
It's just another hill, right?
Another way to get to the game. So, but again, it's a great time of year. There's a lot of excitement, especially, here in the South, where football is a second religion. Signing day has become a rite of passage for these guys, and everyone looks forward to it. So, again, it's definitely something that we all look forward to. and we're going to continue to compete because it's fierce. To say the
Oh,
least.
I know it is. I know it is. It said there is no sleep for the weary, no rest for the weary. I should
That's
say.
right.
Well, look, Shotgun, we really, really thank you for this opportunity of coming to share some insight from the MEAC and the SWAC perspective. And even though you gave a partial projection of the game, we appreciate you giving us that projection. You said 21-17. I got that down. And you didn't say who would win, but we're going to get that once we close out here. Customarily, you know this by now, your thoughts and final closing statement.
Well, again, my closing thoughts this time is just about the Celebration Bowl. I think when the game was first introduced, there was some skepticism. Obviously, I think it's kind of a nod to the old Heritage Bowl that was played back in the in the 80s and 90s, and there were mixed thoughts about whether that game was beneficial or whatever the case may be. But I truly believe that with the game being the first bowl game of the bowl season, a nationally televised game, I think it's a great benefit for, like I said, not only the two teams that are represented in the game, but for really all HBCUs. I think ESPN and all of the sponsors do a phenomenal job of highlighting those institutions. It really sheds a light on the life of HBCU football and these great institutions that we all call home. And what better way to promote it, than on national TV? I think not everyone, but the bowl season is something that a lot of people look forward to. And whether it's the national championship game or the Rose Bowl or the Celebration Bowl, I think football enthusiasts look forward to just seeing weeks of football between teams that are not in the same conference, that have different styles of play, and for this game to highlight two of the best teams in black college football on the national stage is really something that I think we can all benefit from. So I encourage everyone, if you can make it, to attend the game. Attendance numbers have slowly dipped since the first game, and obviously our bargaining power to continue the game is a lot going to be based on how we attend the game. So, even if your team's not represented, we can attend the game. Let's attend the game. Let's make it continue to be one of the most viewed games out there, one of the highest attended games out there, because, again, it is a great product, and it does put our institutions on a national stage. So, I hope that we can continue the game. I hope we can continue to have our corporate sponsors to promote the game and push the game. And, hopefully we'll be able to represent the MEAC in it pretty soon. But even still, I definitely think that it's a game that we all benefit from. So just thankful for the opportunity to be on, as always. And I know we'll be talking soon after the game, so you tell me my prediction was spot on or way off or whatever the case may be. And again, offline, I'll tell you who my true pick is. Because again, I don't want to upset any of my friends in this coaching profession.
I do understand that, sir. And for the record, the attendance may have dipped, but it's still the top FCS bowl attended. And in fact, the SWAC championship game outdrew every FCS playoff game, almost combined. But that's a whole nother subject. I want to thank you so much. We also want to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Attorney Lee Van Richardson, located in Hempstead, Texas. His physical address is 1047 Austin Street. You might need to rebuild your life. You might need to set aside some will plans or even get through an unnecessary or, in some cases, necessary divorce. Set your appointment up with him today, 979-826-8008. Shotgun Willie Simmons, we thank you very, very much. We thank you all for joining us on today. Remember that you can follow me on the social media handles for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network. The website is obnradio.com, and of course our 24-hour dial-in message line, 713-570-6736. I must exit stage left, but until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.